Hey everybody! Today's first lesson in Illustrator Basics is coming at you. And today we're going to learn two things. We're going to learn about layers and we're going to learn about shapes, okay? Alright, so let's go over to Illustrator now. Ding! Alright, now, usually I just use shapes just with the keyboard. I could press an M and bing, I'm drawing a rectangle, or L and I'm drawing an oval. And here's a couple things to know. If you hold Option after pressing L, or going over here and going to the ellipse tool, if you hold Option, you get a circle. Oh, how nice. Well, I should say, excuse me, I do this automatically, so I don't even know what keys I'm pressing. Um, if you hold Shift, you get the circle. I always hold Option 2, and I draw from the center of the point. So if I want to draw a circle here, and I want it like this, I consider that the center by holding down Option, and then I hold Shift to make it a perfect circle, and then from that point and drag it across, I make the perfect circle. The same thing applies when you hit the letter M, or go over here and do this. You get a rectangle, unless, of course, you hold Shift and it becomes a square. And, of course, if you hold the Option key, it does it from the center of that point. Okay, so there we go. We've got several shapes now. And although I love key commands, there are a few things that you can't get to from key commands. Okay, I admit it. I never use that one. I'll show you why later. The poly tool, the star tool. I don't really use a flare tool very much. But the star comes in handy, and it gives you these cheesy stars. They look like they belong in a preschool. If you hold Shift, they don't rotate so wildly. But if you want them to look like they belong on the American flag, then you hold Option, and you get what I consider a more normal looking star rather than the preschool like, you know, Hardy Star or whatever. All right, there we go. And Poly, is going to do just that. And of course, I'm holding Shift, keeping it straight and everything. And don't think Option. Yeah, holding Option doesn't do anything here for this guy. All right, so shapes. We got shapes and we got shapes. We need to color these shapes. I guess I'm just going to use swatches to color them. And the reason I'm going to color them is so you can see them overlapping, etc. Trying to do this rather quickly now. Don't be impatient. And giving them all different colors and amazing speeds. Oh, yes. Okay. And that one has a stroke on it. Well, most of them have a stroke. In fact, let's get rid of all the strokes. So I'm just going to go here, get this on top, and then on the keyboard, hit the key just left of the Shift key with the question mark above it. And it gets rid of all the strokes all at once. They're all gone. All right. So there, we got a whole bunch of shapes. You know how to draw shapes, blah, blah, blah. Let's look at your amazing layers. I'm going to make it shorter over here. Oh, come on. There we go. I think layers is a fabulous way to work because you can, well, even with one layer, objects are above or below each other. And you can see that if you click right here. And strangely enough, you can move them around. Unless they're overlapping, you're not going to see any difference. For example, if I put this one here now, and then I come way down here. Oh, I was hoping to see a difference. I'll come down here. Okay, it was that one. Different blue circle. So why are layers helpful if they're already layered in layers? That's a really confusing Illustrator thing. You just have a little bit more control. For example, I can make a new layer here. Again, I'm holding Option. And I could say background. And now I can move it to the background. The lowest thing is the farthest back. And now I can make a background. Oh, put it on the wrong layer. Okay, make that background. Okay, there we go. And it's a great way to control the placement of your objects. Okay, I guess for your info, I'm going to cover one more thing, if it's not too much, and that is the Pathfinder tool. So, okay, 3 basics today. Shapes, layers, those 2 I've covered, and now the Pathfinder tool. The Pathfinder tool has been quirky ever since Illustrator 7, which was way back in 2004 or something. For example, in the past, you could easily blend these 3 shapes, now that I have them all selected, into one shape. It would normally pick the highest, most solid color shape and make them all the same color. Now it's kind of a roll the dice whether that works or not. So I'll go to the Pathfinder, I'll click on Merge, and notice it said it did a blend, but no, it really chopped it up. So, big failure because Merge is supposed to make those shapes into one. I'll show you a trick. If you hit the letter D when these things are selected, you change them to default color, which is, amazingly exciting. White solid fill with a black 1-point stroke. Yes, but there is one advantage to that. If they're all the same color and you hit merge, bing, you actually get the merge. Now, strangely, it automatically drops this black stroke. I have no idea, but it always does. Guess it's too much for it to process. So there you go. You can get your shapes merged into one. All right, I think I'll show you one other thing. Oh, heaven forbid. Sorry. One other thing. I'm going to show you preview on, preview off. Now, when I learned Illustrator back in 1988, ooh, that's so embarrassing. This is the only mode that there was, preview off mode. And I remember once I was drawing this face, and I was working very hard on it. I had the eyeballs going, and a nose, and everything like that. I was just like, oh, my goodness, everything was coming together. And then, I even had a mouth in there. Yeah, let's do it like this. And then I went to print it. Yeah. With Pathfinder, you can also split objects apart. It's called divide. And now I made a better mouth that way. Okay. So, I had this wonderful face. I was so proud of it, so happy. And I printed it out. We had a color printer back in '88 and had those gigantic dots, bigger than a halftone screen that you'd find in a 1960s comic book. But anyway, I didn't see the face at all. I just saw a circle. And I was so frustrated because I don't think Illustrator 88 actually showed you the sub layers of a layer. It just said you're working on layer 1. And today, if I turn preview on, I could see the reason why. It's because everything was under the face circle, so to speak. So I had to move it to the back. Oh, of course, in this case, if they're all the same color, I'm not really going to see the eyes either. Use the eyedropper there. Okay. Amazing eyes. Looks rather Sesame Streetish, doesn't it? Okay, so I still think this is a fabulous tool that most students today never take advantage of. It's Command Y, Command Control Y, preview on, preview off. You can get there, I think, by view somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Preview, preview, outline, and then preview. So, yeah, preview on, preview off is the easier way to think of it. But with that, you can tell what shapes you have, and you can tell where shapes overlap. And really, drawing well with Illustrator is all about thinking about shapes, which ones are higher, which ones are lower, obviously which ones are which color, etc. But I think that's a fabulous tool. And also working in layers, I could separate by parts. If I was drawing a car, I could separate the wheels from the body, from the glass, making things a lot easier. So strongly encourage you to use layers. Strongly encourage you occasionally to turn preview on, preview off, so you know where your parts and pieces are. And then Pathfinder, I don't use shape modes personally. Because they're, well, okay, let's just turn a mode on. So there's a mode, shape mode. Okay, so maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a purist or something. I tend to use the Pathfinder tools, not the shape mode tools. I trust these more. You get the same results, and sometimes these they're being held in proxy by the computer. They're not really applied yet. Well, okay, probably too much, but I'm going to do rounded corners on this to show you what I mean when I let the computer hold the... So this has rounded corners that's being held rounded by the computer. So you can see by the points that the corners aren't really rounded yet. It's just the computer figuring out what rounded corners would look like if you applied that radius to the corners. And the computer is still keeping this all in its memory and doing all the work of that. It'll stay that way until you do object expand appearance. And then it becomes an actual shape with rounded corners, and you can tell by where the points are. They're no longer out here. They're now at the point of the corner curve. So sometimes shape modes do that, and they just kind of hold in proxy those ideas. I guess not. Well, they used to. Anyway, I don't use shape modes. I use pathfinders. All right, I hope you find that lesson incredibly helpful. If you have, don't forget to smile. Thanks.